Hello and welcome back to the Wizards Arena, my fellow Planeswalkers. Today we are doing Tech Your Deck Season 2, Episode 4, Red. So let's get in there and see what's first up. First up is a card called Battle Hymn. Colorless and a red, an instant. Add 1 red to mana pool for each creature control. I run this card in my Goblin Commander deck and in my token deck. Like it a lot. A little bit better than Season Song and stuff like that. It's only 75 cents and it's in 3% of decks. It's a good way to ramp stuff out. That's big and goofy. Next up, we have Tamir Battle Rage. Colorless and a red, instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Ferocious. If that creature's got power 4 or greater, gets trample 2. I run this in my trample deck and my red, green, white beast deck. I love this card. Almost every single red card I actually have on this list I play in one of my decks. Next, and as you see, it's 3% again. Next up, we got Weapon Surge. Oh, baby, I love this card. 1 red. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 and first strike to end of turn. Okay, that's pretty okay. It's 2 cents each and 0%. But why is this card so good? Right here, Overload. Super cheap Overload at being a colorless and a red. When you cast, it goes from target to each. So your whole board gets first strike to end of turn. Reason this is cool is because red doesn't... People frown on red playing land destruction in Commander. So red also is weak against enchantments, and also their enchantments are pretty bad. So it has to rely on something else, such as combat tricks. I like this one a lot. It's in almost every one of my red decks. Big surprise out of nowhere for very little mana. Next up, Mana Geyser. This is another one I like. This is our first sorcery. 3 and 2 red. Add a red mana pool for each tapped land your opponents control. Well, if your opponents, when you cast at 5, it's gonna be okay if they all have like 4 lands tapped 4 times to your opponents. It's 12. That's pretty solid because it's basically a 1 for 2. So that's pretty cool. But late game, this can get really crazy. Like if everybody's got 7 lands out, and they have 6 of their lands tapped, well, that's 18 mana. So that's like, for every 1 mana you spend, you get 3 back. That's just gravy. $1.17, it's going to set you back and about 6% run it. Next up, we have Mutiny. Oh, baby, I love this card. 1 red mana. Sorcery. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. So basically, you're making your opponent's creatures fight each other, which is really cool. Like, you can have the commander kill a big thing, or if their commander's a small creature, you can have their big creature kill the commander. Really useful. Surprisingly, the price isn't a surprise, it's common. It's 10 cents about. 0% of decks are running this. Way more red decks should run this, because red normally likes to have burn, but effective burning commander with creatures being so high rely on that next spell. And you're telling me for 1 red mana I can pretty much nuke anything they have? Sign me up. Next up, we have Shatter Storm. This is the one card I'm not currently having in our deck. I've had it before. 2 and 2 red. Sorcery, destroy all artifacts, they can't be regenerated. If somebody's playing lots of artifacts or artifact deck you're really annoyed at, or lots of people have ramp and you just can't keep up with your red deck, well, bust this thing out, less than 50 cents. 0% of decks are running it. You blow up everything and slow them all down so you can get back in the game. Next up, we have Vandal Blast. Now this is the exception to today. It's expensive and lots of people know about it. But for those that don't, 1 red, sorcery, destroy target artifact you don't control. Overload. Now this is normally what you see overload as, a whole ton of mana. 4 and a red. Destroy all other artifacts. You get to keep yours, everybody else loses their junk. This is 550 almost, and 17% of decks run it. But it's like one of the best red commander cards there is, so that's why. And it hasn't had major reprints, just in Commanders and Return to Ravnica. Next up, we got Close Quarters. Oh baby, I love this card. I run it in my Goblin deck. It's 2 and 2 red, enchantment. Oh baby, red's got a good enchantment. Let's take a look under the hood. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, Close Quarter deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So if you attack with a bunch of guys, let's say 10 at one opponent A, and I'm playing a lot of goblins, well, you know, normally my goblins aren't going to be doing a lot of damage. So if they choose to block the goblins and kill a couple of them, I can still hurt them. And then I can like sacrifice the goblins to bombardment or some other effect like that and get more value out of them as they're dying. This is also really good in like a red-green like trample based deck, a red-green beast deck, red-green white big creature deck, something like that. It's just really good. I mean, the blocking effect is nice. There is another version, it's called Heat of Battle, that costs 2 mana, but it's whenever anybody blocks, so if your opponent swings into you, you take the damage also, so that's not that hot. This is 18 cents, and it's only in 44 decks. That's less than 0%, like, it's like negative 27% or something. And anyway, next up, we got Goblin Wardrobe. I have to apologize for the old printing, but 2 and a red for an enchantment. Again, this is in my Goblin deck and in my Trample deck. Each creature you control has menace. That's simple. Got really big guys or really small guys, or guys in general. Hard to block. Pretty cool. It's going to set you back about a quarter, and only 1% of decks run it. And if you have a lot of these creatures that have effects that if they hit the player, they do blah blah blah, or like you're throwing swords on creatures, this helps this idea a lot too. Next up, Impact Tremors. Okay, this was in a previous video. Colors in a red, enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is good with like Krenko or something like that, where you just dumping a bunch of tokens out. And you get to go pew, 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 and shoot them for a lot of damages. It's sweet. It's a replacement for Perforos, who's a bunch of money. It's $2.25, so it's not super cheap, and it's in 8% of decks. Also works good with Dash, stuff like that. And now we are on to our bonus round card. Hammerhand. Okay, what's this thing do? This is the only aura I have. It's 1 red. This is in my Uriel Mistalker. You enchant your creature. When it enters the battlefield, target a creature. That creature can't block. Oh, this one thing could really hurt Uriel. He can't block me this turn. And then, if I just casted Uriel that turn, +1/+1 in haste on my creature. For 1 red mana, sign me up. Like, that's awesome. It's 8 cents. And it's in 310 decks, so that's a 0%. So I really like this. There's not many good auras. They've pretty much been replaced now by equipments, but I like this one a lot. My name's been Draymore with the Wizard Arena. Please like, share, and subscribe, and give a thumbs up. Helps out a lot. I'll see you guys in the next video. You have yourselves a great day.